Morning. Now, can we as wildlife photographers turn the ordinary into extraordinary? Well, I'm at a local woodland this morning and I'm going to see if I can find out. So before we start, a little bit of background to this story. So I was up here yesterday walking the dog with Mel, my wife, and we walked through the woodland, had a really nice walk, got to the back of the wood here, and I noticed a buzzard sat on a post, and it was quite a fair way away. So I just said to Mel, she waited with the dog, and I sort of walked up, and I hadn't got the camera with me, so but I just really wanted to see how tolerant this buzzard was, because I know from previous experience in the past they pretty much fly away fairly quickly. Anyway, I got within about 30 metres and I thought, oh, this is quite tolerant, and then I put my hands up as if I was carrying a camera and stopped. Still no reaction, it still stayed there, and I actually got within about 20 metres before it flew away, and it flew round onto some posts further down. So this got me thinking, this could be a good opportunity to get some pictures of this buzzard. And while I was watching it on these posts and watching its behaviour, it kept dropping off the posts. The light work behind it was absolutely superb, and I thought, well, is it worth coming back tomorrow, because I can see the opportunity for a really good image there, you know, sort of next level. So anyway, I'm here this morning. I'm going to make my way to those fields and I'm just going to stake it out really. It's exactly the same time of day. Luckily for me, we've got very similar type of weather. Yesterday the sun was just coming through, and it appears to be doing the same thing, so we could have exactly the same light. And I'm going to see if I can take an ordinary subject that we see every day and get an extraordinary image from it. So yeah, let's go and give it a try. So just in case you're interested, a little bit about the common buzzard. Well, in the 1950s there was a massive outbreak of myxomatosis in rabbits, which wiped out a large percentage of the rabbits in the UK, and I think at the time buzzards, that was their main source of food. And then hot on the heels of that, in the 1960s, it was deemed that pesticides that were being used and that were obviously there to kill pests in agriculture, the buzzards were actually eating those pests, and it was affecting their reproductive system, so they weren't reproducing. So you had a massive hit on buzzards, and from them being pretty common, they went to almost zero. And this is where, sort of in the 1990s, early 2000s, where I got interested, because living in Nottinghamshire there were virtually no buzzards anywhere in the county. They were very, very few and far between, and I wasn't a wildlife photographer at the time, but I came round the corner of this field when I was out walking and this huge bird flew up off the floor. Turned out it was a buzzard, and from then that really sparked my interest in wildlife photography. So I do owe them a lot really, and they are my favourite bird of prey. I think they're such a survivor, something that's had to adapt, and it has adapted, and now it's our most prolific bird of prey. I love how tenacious they are as well. I remember when we first got red kites back where I live, there were 4 circling over some trees near where I live, and 2 buzzards shot up. Obviously it was their territory, and basically they saw them off. And if you look at the actual talons of a buzzard compared to a red kite, you can understand why. They're physically much beefier, I think, than the red kite, even though the red kite is slightly larger, I think. But that's why I absolutely love them. So yeah, if you've got a particular favourite bird of prey, let me know in the comments below, and let me know why you favour that bird of prey. But they're my reasons really. As I say, a very common bird, but it's one that I've really struggled to get nice images of, and I'm hoping to change that today. The first thing is whether this buzzard's back hunting. I'm hoping everything's exactly the same as yesterday. All I need is it to turn up, and I think I'm in with a chance. So yeah, let's go and see what we can do. I'm just approaching the gate into the field now, so want to be quite careful just in case he is here and he's up this side. Don't want to spook him straight away, huh? Hold on a second. He's on one of the posts further down. I'm assuming it's the same buzzard. When we first saw him yesterday, he was up. I'll show you. He was up in this area over here, and I do like this field a little bit more because it's more overgrown. There's horses in this field as well, and they're quite curious. They'll come over and may blow the whole thing up. But yeah, I think I'm just going to get set and hopefully let the buzzard work its way towards me. The light's a bit dull at the minute, but the sun does keep breaking through, and if it does, that's the light I need. So yeah, first thing checked off, the buzzard's here. I think it must be the same one. Right, so I managed to get into position. Everything's going to plan at the minute, which is quite startling. I'll just try and tell you where I am. Obviously you can see there's a fence here running in that direction, and it's a livery area, so this is electric fence to keep the horses in. I don't think there's any in, well, there's no horses in this part of the field at the minute, but I'm not sure whether this is live. So obviously with the camera it's important to try and not touch it. The reason I'm able to talk quite loudly at the minute is there's another fence running across the field at the other side of this camera, and the buzzard at the minute is right on the far side of the field on top of one of the posts, and he's doing exactly what he was doing yesterday. He's dropping down off the posts onto stuff on the floor and then flying back up onto the posts. So what I'm hoping he's going to do with me getting in this position here and just sitting quietly, which is what I'm going to do in a minute, is he's going to work his way back this way. I've got a feeling the sun's going to burst out any second, so if we get that light, that's the light we had yesterday, which will be fantastic. I'm not sitting down in the seat simply because I want to be able to get the camera lens through this electric fence. There's some quite high vegetation in front in this field, so I don't really want to be shooting through that right in front of the lens. I want to try and have a pretty clear view. So I'm just going to kneel here really and just continually shift my position as I get uncomfortable, probably, but that's the plan anyway. He's moved one post closer, so he is coming this way, so it's now just a waiting game. Hopefully the sun will poke through. Certainly looks like it's going to do, and then yeah, maybe that shot I envisioned yesterday is a possibility. Now while we're waiting, I know some of you will be there going, oh, it's only a buzzard, you know, common buzzard, and as I've explained, they weren't always as common as they are now, but I think it's important that we all dream of going to far off places, and you know, I've been to places in the UK to photograph stuff that I can't photograph where I am now because we don't get it. Things like pine martins, ospreys, hen harriers, stuff like that. So you do move around the UK, but we often think about going to more exotic places like on safari or photographing wolves or polar bears or bears. All that sort of stuff really interests me, and as yet I haven't had the opportunity to do it. But you know, for me, these subjects, although they're quite common, not only are they fascinating, and we should be really, really glad we've got them in this country, but they're also sort of a bit of a practice ground for when, if you ever do get the chance to do something like that. Because what you've got to realise is when you go on a trip like that, you only have a certain amount of time. Yeah, you might have experts taking you to the right places, but to be honest, there's no chance to mess it up. You can't potentially come back the following day. You know, you might have one opportunity and you want to ensure you get it right. And it's by, what I like to try and do is, as I've said it earlier in this video, is I visualise the shot that I want. So I've already painted that picture in my mind of the image that I want, the image that I think I can get. And often, you know, you don't get that, you know, things don't come together correctly. But what you are doing is you're getting all your camera settings right, you're getting in the right position for the light, so you're doing everything within your power to make that shot happen. Now if other things go against you and it doesn't happen, that's fair enough, but as I say, if you then go on a trip where you're trying to do more exotic wildlife, you might only get one chance. So the last thing you want to do is not have all that experience of going through that process, building that image in your mind and making sure that you've got all the settings that you need, that you're in the right position, that the light's where you want it to be. If you do all that, then you're going to maximise your chances when you get those very, very rare opportunities to get, you know, a really, really stunning shot. Just trying to maximise it when that light breaks through. He's about 30 metres in front of me, not phased by me at all. He's gone down in the grass now, so he'll probably be there for a couple of minutes and then back up onto a post. But it's when the light breaks through, I think I've got an absolutely cracking shot. One thing with this Z8 shooting 20 frames a second, it really does mean that you've got a lot of shots to choose from. And the one I really like the look of at the minute, I've had a quick look, is when he's dropping down off the post. With the light coming through the wings and the tail, it looks absolutely stunning. Really, really chuffed. I'm going to try and get a little bit of film as well. Just brilliant. I've retreated into the woods to give my knees a bit of a break. He's actually flown off in that direction as well, so it might be it for the day, but wow. Yeah, I'm super happy with that. And it's one of those days where I think everything's come together. I can't believe it, but it's clouded over slightly again at the minute. But we had a brief, probably 5 minutes, where there was bright sunlight, and I literally got one opportunity where it was sat on this post for like 4.5 minutes as the sun was out, and then he suddenly dropped off, and I managed to capture it, and then literally was on the floor for a couple of minutes, back up on the post, and the sun had gone in, and we were in this more sort of dull weather. But yeah, it doesn't often happen like that. And whether you're shooting, you know, elephants, or whether you're shooting wolves, or whether you're shooting common buzzard or blue tits, if everything that comes together in that shot that you envisaged in your mind, then, you know, you really can't beat that. I mean, being picky, you know, in my mind, the shot that I've got, and I'll put that up at the end so that you can have a look at it, but just imagine that shot with a field mouse leaping just above the grasses to try and get away from those talons, and it being on the same plane as the buzzard, so everything's in sharp focus. Just imagine that. That would be the ultimate, but again, that's for another day. So yeah, put in the comments below, do you think I elevated a common subject in the UK to something extraordinary? Did I get anywhere near that? And yeah, let me know how you get on with yours, and as I say, comment below. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video. It's certainly one that I've really enjoyed doing. One of those that I hadn't intended to do, but the opportunity was there. A lot of things have come together and made this happen, so when it does, I think you've got to, you know, just rejoice and remember that when things aren't going right. Anyway, if you've enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you next time.